Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, before we jump into the video, just want to say thank you guys so much for 7,600 subscribers on YouTube. 7,600 amazing, beautiful snipers, every single one of you. It doesn't matter if you like me, it doesn't matter if you love me, it doesn't matter if you dislike me. If you're here, you are a sniper, and I appreciate you so much. Thank you all for the likes, the comments, you know what I'm saying, the support on the videos. Even if sometimes we don't see eye to eye for certain things, or we have disagreements, or, sometimes just straight up slander on my name, that's okay. I still appreciate every single one of you because you guys are amazing. You guys are all beautiful humans, and I hope you guys all get the best in life and what you deserve. Listen, anyways, let's just jump right into this, right? So we can see this is going to be more of a technical analysis video for Zebec. We did have a video regarding some information for Zebec surrounding Walmart, right? Walmart and a few other things. So make sure to check that one out if you haven't already. This one will be a technical analysis video. And I do believe that, things are going to start heating up very, very soon for Zebec, especially this week, right? And we already said that a couple of days ago. And the more time and more data that we have, the more confirmation I believe, we have. So look, Bitcoin is up a little bit in the last 24 hours. It went up $2,000 or so. It's almost at 114,000. When we go and look at something like our beloved Zebec network, we can see we're ranked 134 out of 9,371 active cryptos, 380 million market cap, more or less, almost 15 million volume in the last 24 hours. On the month, we're actually up 5.29%. On the weekly, we are pretty much break even. So we can see we started the beginning of the week slightly green, and then we were in the red for a majority of the time, right? We were. And then we can see that by the end of the week, we already went back to green. So what does that mean? Well, if we started off fairly bearish, but by the end of the week, we ended up pretty bullish, and we recovered all of that selling pressure, then like I said before, already a couple days ago, I do believe this week is going to be the week of a green Zebec week. So if you are a short-term trader, if you do, come buy Zebec for those 10, 15, 20, 25% flips, this is probably the week where you're going to be looking to be making that nice quick money and probably cashing out if you are trying to trade in the range. Okay. In the last 24 hours, we're up almost 3%. So very, very nice. We can still see no Binance, no Coinbase yet, right? Keyword yet. As I do think Binance, Coinbase, and Robinhood are all going to be inevitable for us. When we go and look at something like the amount of holders there are, we can see that while this loads up, I think we hit 87,000 something before. Yeah, we can see we're just growing very, very quickly, right? The day is not over, and we are already up roughly 80 holders, right? 80 holders, we're up, and there's still a couple hours left in the day. So I do believe, again, this is going to be another 100, 120 holder day by the time today finishes. And I expect 88,000 holders by the end of this week, especially that I expect, some bullish momentum to the upside, which means usually there's a little bit more bandwagon, right? Even extra 20, 30, 40, 50 holders a day does make a big impact when there is, a blue, nice green week. I know I said blue and green, but I use blue, but in general, the common term is green. We can see, right, when we go on the weekly, okay, that we did, if you even watched the other previous videos, we did have 1, 2, and 3 bearish weeks. But we can see by the time this weekly candle has finished, it actually ended up becoming blue. So it actually ended up going from a selling candle to a buying candle, which makes me really, really believe that this next week we will be pushing up and trying to come back to contest this area over here, right? This area up here is where I believe we're going to be looking to be contesting, right? So if we go something like this, on the lower end, probably like 18%, on the higher end, probably upwards of 25%. Now, I do have to say that doesn't mean like the Monday or Tuesday, we can't see any short-term bias to the downside before we just pick up some more momentum to the upside, okay? Because there could always still be 1 or 2 selling days throughout the week, but that's just because it is playing a fundamental step, okay? Just because we expect overall a bullish week, that doesn't mean one day won't be slightly red, doesn't mean one day won't be slightly sideways, right? Because you got to remember, the markets literally just don't go up like a rocket, and they don't tank like a, like I don't know what, I don't know, tank, I don't know, like a rocket upside down going to the ground. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know. But I guess we did see something when there's max manipulation in the markets. Yeah, okay, when there's max manipulation in markets, I guess the markets can go down all the way to hell. Okay, if the market makers want us to go down to hell, we can go down to hell. Okay. But yeah, and you can see when we do usually go up, 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 up consistently, it's because we have been going sideways for many, many months, right? I know this is what people love to see, is when something like Zebec or any coin, in a span of 10 days goes up, let's just say somewhere here to here, 300%, so 4x. I know people want to see that, their money 4xing in 10 days, but you have to realize the context behind that was months and months and months and months, and you guessed it, months of patience. So look, that's crypto for you, right? That is crypto. The thing with crypto, right? You need to have patience, you need to have belief, and you need to be paying attention all the damn time. Okay, you do those three things, there's a very, very high likelihood that you will see decent to good success at the bare minimum in these cycles, right? In these cycles, because people just expect instant results. And guys, that's still fairly instant. If you held your money, if you bought Zebec all the way back in 2024 June, right, the end of June, let's just say beginning of July, and then you cashed out almost a year later, like 10 months later, okay, for a big gain, right? If you cashed out for a big gain of, let's just say 6x your money, 6.5, even 5x your money, 4x your money, that's still a lot, right? 4, 5, 6x within a 10-month span is a lot. When you look at other stocks, when you look at the whole markets in general, comparing it to S&P 500, right? S&P 500 gives you like a couple percent a year. If you go with the banks, I know it's like quote unquote super safe, but they give you what? 2% a year, maybe 3%. That's really generous. So you have to realize like a 5x in the span of 10 months is really good, like really, really good. So we need to just learn to be patient, because patience is ultimately what's going to reward us. And ultimately, it's going to be the difference between us tweaking out and not tweaking out. So yeah, this is kind of what I expect, right? If we do see some downwards movement, then it shouldn't really go below this zone over here, because we do have a big, nice support at 0.0037. We can see we have multiple points tapping in. If we go to something like this, right? We have this here, here. This doesn't necessarily reach it 100%, but it's still okay. We have this, 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 right? We have all of this data. We have all of this data, all of this data. So if we do see a little bit more of a fundamental pullback, do not worry, right? Once we get to 0.0037, I do believe we are still going to try to contest this range high, because even when we go and look at it from a higher time frame standpoint, we go look at this range, right? Boom, something like this. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? It doesn't always have to be perfect. It just has to be like 95% accurate. So yeah, I think this is pretty good, right? Boom. Once again, like I did say before, we are kind of just ranging a lot. So if we do something like this, right, we can see that we are in a range. So I do believe we are going to try to contest the 0.0047, right? So if you are a short-term flipper, I'm not a financial advisor, but in theory, this would be a good spot to kind of cash out if you did buy Zebec somewhere down here, right? Even if you bought Zebec now, like I said, you could be getting like anywhere from, let's just say, 16% upwards of even 25% if we do spike a little bit above this trend line and a little bit, on the higher end of this green box, right? Overall, I still expect for Zebec to really, really explode at the end of 2000, or sorry, not the end of 2026, near the beginning of 2026, just because I expect a lot of momentum with a new yearly candle, right? We are coming to the end of the yearly candle. There's still 2 months left. Usually, historically, you don't see a quick switch in anything when it comes to yearly candles, right? Usually the markets really start going crazy like the first week or two into January, because the market makers have new yearly candles printed. Everything gets kind of reset in a way. They have a bigger picture. They're like, okay, if last year we were going up a lot, this year we might go down a little bit. And that's just how it works, right? Think about it like a staircase, up, down, right? So, even though we did have a bullish year for Zebec, I don't expect 2026 to be a bearish year, right? Because down, up. I don't expect us to go down for the whole 2026 and then blow up in 2027. I would not be surprised on a higher time frame, if we do come back down, maybe back down to here, right? This is the lowest we should really go. Maybe in the start of January, there might be 1 or 2 weeks of pure manipulation, and then we might start going up. But overall, once 2026 starts, I do believe it's going to be Zbec's time to shine. And with all the partnerships, the rumors, everything, the exchange listings, and just how we are killing it with absolutely everything, I expect Zebec to do wonders this cycle. At least probably a minimum of 25x from here. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you guys enjoy, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.